But I want to acknowledge that there are significant number of other former principals of the school, including my mother, Nowari. And so the things that we talk about here today represent the thoughts and the ideas that have come from a collection of people. We're all here to celebrate a great colleague, an educator, and a great representative for this community and his people. I first met this bloke in 1974 while he was still a student at the Aboriginal Teacher Education Centre at Bachelor. It was to be the start of a learning journey with his young educator and the team that he worked with. It has inspired me and many others to contribute to the ongoing development and education of this community and generations of students since then. In 1975 he started working in the bilingual early childhood section of the Yunupingu School. And while this was going on, Jawalpi alluded to the band. Aside, he would point out he was active in the band. I lived right next door to the band. The band was known as the Diamond Dogs. Creedence Clearwater never sounded so good. The band included a number of young men then, like Java, Wattur, Lalambari and this man, who had a range of roles over the next few years in both the bilingual program at the school and Homeland Centre education. Crucial in this early days was the relocation of the School of Australian Linguistics program to Yunupingu in 1975 as a result of Cyclone Tracy. Here started a sort of rich relationship that this educator was gifted at achieving. One significant outcome of this working together relationship was a collection of material that resulted in the Yunupingu Dictionary by Dr. David Zorc. The dictionary indicates Dr. Yunupingu's personal contribution of over 150 words. Further, through this work with these School of Australian linguists, he made an ongoing contribution at Bachelor College. The pinnacle of this crucial work can be found in the insertion of the Aboriginal Languages Fortnight into the Bachelor Education program in the early 80s. We could do well to ask what happens in this regard today. At Yunupingu we were part of a great team of Yolngu and Woonga educators led by Beth Graham as the first team of educators to implement a bilingual education program at Yunupingu. This team included this educator, Beth herself, Mary Fletcher, Cheryl Crawford, Nowari Ngandi, Multara, who was here before, and Barnaby's wife, who shared tasks related to getting this vital program underway. While his contribution to music is well recognised, his determination to have a Yolngu-inspired bicultural biliteracy education in place is a legacy I want to share with you today. One of the earliest connections he made and provided significant guidance for was through his assistance with the Bachelor College self-evaluation in the early 1980s that was conducted through Deakin University. This project established relationships that continue today between Yunupingu community and former staff of Deakin University. The contributions that this educator made can be seen in the ongoing discussions even now through the formation of the Young Better for Schools Council, community-based teacher education, homelands education, bilingual and bicultural education, mathematics education, Aboriginalisation of school staffing, etc. We need to remember the important contribution this Yolngu leader made as an educator in both the Yunupingu school and the Yunupingu homeland school communities was to provide the opportunity for Yolngu voices to be heard and to recruit Woonga resource people to assist where he identified a need. Evidence of this can be seen through the recurring connections made to such resources, the names of John Henry, Stephen Kemmis, Helen Veron, Colin Henry, Robin McTaggart, Warren Hastings and others. Not the least to be mentioned is the numerous Woonga students of Deakin University who worked in this area with teachers and who maintained connections to this place. The work around the self-evaluation of Bachelor continued through the shaping of the debate program or the Deakin Bachelor Aboriginal Teacher Education program and the evaluation of the rate program. The educator we celebrate today worked with community leaders to present arguments for refusal to embrace an approach that required potential Yolngu teachers to leave their traditional lands, their communities and their families to gain necessary qualifications. He provided community input that insisted when they go away, they grow away. Inspired by this adage, subsequent work at Yunupingu and Bachelor in designing the rate program was taken up in Victoria by Deakin University to inform the Koori teacher education program at that uni. In time, the Deakin University established the Institute of Koori Education, through which a full range of courses are delivered in a community-based mode in Victoria and around other parts of Australia. In 2013, over 600 Aboriginal students from all over Australia were studying at Deakin from undergraduate to graduate courses. Here at Yunupingu, we forged ongoing relationships with other universities such as the University of Melbourne that followed this positive example. Well might be asked is whether the community-centred and community-based approach that assisted this educator then is available today for future young educators to continue his exploration of an appropriate bicultural, Yolngu bicultural biliteracy approach that sustains clan languages, Yolngu knowledges, etc. In 1987, at a meeting hosted by Galarrwuy and this educator we're acknowledging today at Yunupingu to discuss the establishment of a pilot stage 2 rate program at Yunupingu, the following occurred. The training centre was given a special Yolngu name by Galarrwuy to give an emphasis to the importance of this program. I cannot repeat the name here, but I can tell you some of the ideas that came out of that discussion. Firstly, it got us to recall the work of bees in producing honey, and the idea that in the hive there is a place that is a keeping place of the best honey ever produced, a place of excellence. It sought the answer to the question, why do the bees do this? The answer is that the bees do this as a contribution to their care for the future generations that will be nurtured by this honey. Education, therefore, was about having due regard for the future generation by the current generation. This locates the goal setting in your hands, the bees. Secondly, the lines in the sea that are formed by the bow of a canoe when travelling by canoe points to a distant place in the sea, a navigation point, a place that's never really reached, in the sense that having arrived at the relevant point, the next stage of the journey becomes the focus. Our goals for education likewise change as the journey unfolds and moves ahead of us as the challenge for our endeavours. Later discussions of this led to the use of the lipper, the canoe, as the analogy to use that identified the paddlers and the leadership status and the roles of the people in the canoe. These goals are ones that the paddlers agree to their destination. Again, this locates the goal setting in your hands. Thirdly, the industry required to prepare paper bark shelters demands long strips of bark to be torn from trees. Extending the capacity of human beings, people, by using a special tool made from a long pointed stick relates to the challenge of education in extending the capacity of participants in a productive way. This also locates the goal setting about the type of capacity needed to be developed in your hands. Here was a Yolngu educator of the Gummage clan who had articulated a Yolngu response in a collective and appropriate way to the question, where are we going to? The Yolngu participants who he brought together to work and guide our work framed this work around the idea of a both ways curriculum that was part of the energised way that the term Gurrama came into our use in education. This work still today reflects the amazing collaborative work of the Muninga and Yolngu educators of that time at Yunupingu, and it continues today. In 1994, he was able to observe, in our struggle, we always had Yolngu concepts to guide us. I'm going to tell you about one of them, Ngatu, the cycad palm. Some years ago, we were searching for ways of coming up with a Yolngu curriculum. These are his words. We needed something to expand our imaginations, something that would lead us to do things in proper ways. Our elders told us the process of ngatu, psychad palm, could help us find ways to do things which would produce a sustaining bread for our children. We gather all the nuts from a particular place. We seek the focused but varied opinions and views of people about schooling. Different sorts of issues should be separated so that things can go on in an orderly way. And then when the mix is ready, it must be left for a while. When all the bad blood has leached away, we must accept the verdict of those we trust as experienced and who are in the right position and place to decide what's okay. This has ongoing relevance to us today and part of the remaining challenges for us all. How do we respectfully allow Yolngu community members to put processes in place that acknowledge the power of humble, knowledgeable ones to oversight the development of their communities and families into the future? But he didn't leave us off the hook there. He went on to provide some other important details. It seems to us that the most important thing is language. Our children should study their clan languages in school. They should learn to understand the deep meanings and to read and write in their mother's and father's languages. We also think that the study of English is very important for our children. It holds a special place in our curriculum, but it is placed within a curriculum of multiple balances. Balances that our children must learn if they're going to be active Yolngu members of our contemporary Australia. Our Yolngu leaders have given us much guidance over most of the last 40 years about the form of program that we must develop here at Yunupingu. Dr. Yunupingu often used controversial words and ideas from the Yolngu realm to create a climate for the necessary conversation. That the terms used were changed eventually never became areas of ongoing resentment or resistance by this educator. Rather, he celebrated the success of having engaged appropriate leaders in a rich debate that leached out the poison. Given his legacy now, it is time to start again by rebuilding the strength of the Yunupingu Schools Council and to rebuild the active Yolngu leadership of all the educational and training programs in this area. This Yolngu educator and leader deserves to be remembered by continuing to build on the foundations he built, I've spoken about here. He would not accept that something would happen Yalala. He once pulled me up from feeling quite self-satisfied when a meeting of elders indicated they would deal with an issue later, Yalala. He pointed out my self-delusion by describing the word Yalala as the most dangerous word in Yungamata. Why, he said, it could mean later today, later tomorrow, later this week, later next week, or never. We also need action now, not later. We need a commitment by us all to return to provide adult education in a community development framework that inspires and uses parent and community engagement to put in place the processes this great young educator strove for. Just days before his passing, this was the topic of our conversation and the direction of our last conversation. In finishing, there are many educators both from within the Yunupingu Schools past and present cohort who have contacted me to pass on their condolences to the family, expressing their sadness at the loss to be endured with the passing of this real trailblazer. They're all thinking of you today, Yapa. I'd also like to add a personal note that this Yolngu leader stood by Nami and I and our family at a most tragic time for us as a family. He showed his real courage and strength in standing by us in our time of great loss. We'll always cherish his humour and strength of that time since. Thanks, Malika. Nami and I thank my sister and her family, my bakos, for their ongoing care, and we want you to know we'll be there for you too in the years ahead. Thanks.